new Gramercy 5.
We had Tommy Potter on bass, Irv Kluger drums, Joe Rowland vibes, and Tal Farlow guitar, and the master himself, Artie, on clarinet, and some guy named Jones on the piano. I don't know where they got him from. I think he was walking by the studio one day and somebody reached him with a hook and grabbed him and said,
The recordings the group made are now coming to be seen as some of the best small group playing ever committed to tape.
I think he tried to pick the musicians who he thought could best exemplify his particular approach to playing jazz, which was sort of a non-violent kind of playing, but meticulous and correct. And sometimes on the recording day, we'd do one tune, maybe 15 takes before we could get the take that Artie was satisfied with. Which, of course, means that he wanted something that was as near perfect as it could possibly be, and this is why he did it.
And I was playing very, very close to the mic. You can hear the keys click every once in a while. There I used a buffet clarinet, which is a different instrument entirely. The Selmer is the one you use for a big band because it has more shout to it. But a buffet is a little more woody, a little more intimate. So I use that.
And instead of this very full, very lyrically rich tone, he's almost just breathing into the instrument. A recording such as Don't Take Your Love From Me is as close to a perfect chamber music performance as one can imagine.
Listening to the magic they created half a century ago isn't nostalgia for these men, it's a critique.
And immediately the ambiance is established. Vivid.
He's got a slightly different tone on this. It's like he's striving for more of a saxophonic thing.
He never starts and stops a phrase when you think.
The idea that he is exploring the implications of the song rather than playing the song. And yet they make perfect sense. It's not prolix.
The other thing we haven't even talked about is his lung power. Everybody in that band has to be absolutely on pins and needles, wondering how those phrases are going to work themselves out, and there just is never a jarring moment.
There's a piece of music that the word jazz does not cover.
The lovely calm of the music came in sharp contrast to the turbulence of the life. His latest marriage to the actress Doris Dowling wasn't working out. Since 1949, Artie had been living on Picardy Farm, 240 acres of dairyland in upstate New York, the most peaceful of his homes. Now the Internal Revenue Service, pursuing him for back taxes, was threatening that peace. A campaign inspired in Artie's belief by Richard Nixon again.
I was on his enemies list. So he showed out that my farm didn't work anymore. IRS, put them on my tail. And you get the IRS on your tail, you're through. So I thought, I can't live here anymore. And I sold my farm.
In fact, everything went. The farm, the marriage, America, and music. Where did you blow your last notes? Was it in Australia?
Yeah, but that was, I don't even count that as a musical experience. I went there as the first of the American tours, but they couldn't afford to bring the group. So I had to use Australian musicians, and they weren't up for it. I mean, they did the best they could, but I didn't get sufficient rehearsal time.
And with that, the career of Artie Shaw, clarinet player, simply ceased.
Well, it's almost impossible for those of us who don't have a genius for something like playing the clarinet better than anyone else in the world to imagine how you put it away, how you just stop playing. And he was so young when he did it. He was 44 years old, and he's 90 plus now.
I think he said that he had done everything with the clarinet that he could do. When I first read that, I said, "My gosh, how could anybody ever say anything like that?" You know. But I think maybe he actually had. There was really nowhere else to go. He had hit that level.
Since 1954, hardly anyone has ever seen Artie Shaw with a clarinet in his hand. It surprises even him.
It feels very strange, as if you had an arm taken off and somebody handed it to you and you could look at it. It was that familiar. There is a reed in it, but I couldn't possibly produce a note on it today.
Musicians have been arguing for decades about Artie's decision to fall musically silent. He was giving away not just a virtual limb, but his hold over the American public, in fact a world public. And he left for Spain.
I don't know why I went to Europe, why I ended up in Spain, but it was the place where I found a piece of land that I thought I could live on the rest of my life. And I built a house there. They built a house out of the rocks of the mountain. It's still there, and it's a remarkable place. That was my house.
And fishing you did a lot of at that time.
Yeah, I did that. That's what I was. Did a lot of fishing all over the area. I know those rivers backwards.
The Spanish interlude lasted till 1960. Shaw shared most of it with his last wife, the actress Evelyn Keyes. Meanwhile, astronomy, that joined angling as his latest all-consuming quest, followed on the couple's return to America by rifle shooting. Artie even took a share in a gun shop in rural New York.
I was in a league where you're trying to put 5 shots through a piece of paper through the same hole. If you miss the hole by over a quarter of an inch, you're out of the running.
Many people wondered why this mania had arisen, including Artie himself, who raised the matter with a fellow competitor at the range.
I said to him, "Why do we do this crazy thing?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, we spend thousands of dollars to make the smallest hole we can in a piece of paper at 100 yards. You can do that with a nail punch." He said, "That's right." He said, "Why do you think we do it?" I said, "It might be part of man's never-ending quest for perfection." He said, "Perfection? What would you call it? How would you define perfection in this league?" I said, "Make one hole with one and shoot everything through it. Never change." He said, "You could never do that." I said, "Why?" He said, "What would be left for God to do?" That's a good answer to any perfectionist. You can't achieve perfection. Best you can do is approximate.